I did my
We're
tally.
live. Okay, great stuff. Hello, everybody. It's Lilia from Heal Scotland and Scotland's World Medicine. And with me today, I've got my darling dear friend, Gary Young, from the east coast of the country. How you doing, Gary?
I'm good, Lilia. Good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you too. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the festivals. That's really what a lot of these lives and podcasts are around. But I think to go into the background of how we met, and obviously have done a few workshops with you now, and obviously spent that amazing time that we had up in Skye together, which again was great for me as well as for all the people who came in your workshop, because I got to obviously enjoy the mindfulness on a daily basis, which I really think is probably the unique signature of your retreats. Whether they're a day or whether they're 3 or 4 days, you're just practicing all the time. So you just come out the other end sort of floating. It's such a... So can you just tell, for people that have never met you before or that are forgotten, can you just explain how you got into mindfulness and what actually is it?
So I got into mindfulness probably back, I would say, I was starting to sort of tiptoe into my curious journey of self-development back in maybe 2011, 2012. Although the journey probably started, the catalyst for my journey probably started in 2007, which was the separation from my son's mother at the time, which was quite a big event for me. And dealing with some of the upheaval on the back of that sort of triggered me into, I would say, the start of things, where I was starting to reflect a little bit more on myself, trying to become a little bit more self-aware. So fast forward into sort of maybe 2012-ish, I was going regularly to Reiki, to get Reiki energy healing. And it was the Reiki teacher who was going to at the time who said to me, you should explore meditation more. It was obviously something that was coming up in the Reiki session, and she was so intuitive and so incredible at some of the downloads that she would give me on the back of the Reiki. So she was obviously seeing something and directing me towards a path that was ultimately going to play some kind of a big part in my life. So lo and behold, I just started to feel my way into meditation, and then I was introduced to another lady called Gillian, who was a mindfulness teacher. She was doing an 8-week mindfulness course in Edinburgh. I signed up for that with Ivona, my partner at the time. We were fairly in the sort of first few years of our relationship at the time. We did it together, and that started the journey. And about halfway through that course, the penny dropped for me. It was just like, oh my goodness, this is the foundation for our growth, because not only is it going to make us more self-aware, it's going to give us the tools to be able to regulate ourselves emotionally. It's going to give us the tools to have a bit more impulse control over our instinctive responses to things, to people, to situations. It was going to give us the tools to be able to lean into self-compassion so that we could take better care of ourselves, prioritize our own well-being, and then look outwardly to see how we can actually support other people in their journey too. But fundamentally, the message was, it starts with us, and it starts with our practice to get to a level of depth within that then allows us to be able to see more and to do more with that, to make better choices in our own lives, be more conscious, and help others onto the path too. So I've described it as and it has been described in mindfulness circles for a long time, as a radical act of self-love, because for us to become present in our minds, we have to let go, or present in our lives rather, we need to let go of some of the stories and all the things that unfold in the mind, the distraction from the mind that keeps us, keeps us into some habit patterns that can sometimes be unhelpful for us. So we need to be able to go beyond that, beyond the fear-based mind, and trust that our life only happens in the present moment. And can we be there for it more often? But for some people, because we've encountered a lot of things in our lives, we've encountered difficult things in our bodies with trauma and all that type of stuff, a lot of people, from a coping mechanism perspective, have learned how to think a lot or try to think their way out of their difficulties rather than actually stay present with what's moving through the body and get acquainted with that and work with it skillfully. So these have been a lot of the lessons that I've learned on my own journey since taking the plunge into this different world. And it's impacted my life in some of the most incredible ways. I could talk about that all day.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're well established now. You've been doing it for a long time. How many years is it?
So the Mindful Enterprise has been we basically the business case and all the ideas were starting to come together in 2016, and we went live to the world in 2017. So we're in our 8th year.
Aye, so you know what you're doing.
It takes time, but you get there eventually.
Yeah, I love what you said there, radical self-love, because I think, obviously, that I always teach about our relationship with ourselves, which is really with ourselves. But I think that in general, our motivator is probably something external to ourselves, i.e. a relationship, maybe getting dumped, which can be pretty traumatic, or, your business failing, or there's lots of awful things that can happen, and that kind of makes you start to look for solutions. But in actual fact, if we can start to think about how we're talking to the body, this energy mass, and how when we feel things in it, like you said there about how it's going through the body, and I know from having done your exercises, how that's what the body holds the score. We know that, and the body can be, and it's that disconnection that we have with stress, heartache, nervousness, the lower chakra, heaviness, etc., with relationships, all of that. Nobody really explained to us that it's energy and that we can start to use these practices to change it.
Yeah.
And I know you feel like me. It's like, it's really, we should be teaching our young ones this at 5 years old.
Yeah.
It still annoys me. I didn't learn about breathwork till I was nearly 60.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous. And mindfulness as well, because it's such a gentle, beautiful, and you and I worked really well together. Everybody liked our kind of me bad, like, come on. And then you coming in with that really, it was a lovely combination for people to experience. And I know, from the healing, I did the breathwork most mornings for most courses. It was really nice for the instructor or the teacher, the leader, to have that way to go into that state to start your day.
Oh yeah. I really enjoyed that. I was, I've done various different forms of breath work down the years, but never have I got into a place of full surrender, I would say, to totally allow the experience to be fully felt. I think I was always maybe there was always maybe a level of just kind of maybe sort of questioning, what am I going to get from this, or am I doing it right, or maybe I'm not quite doing it just as well as I could be, and all that questioning, I think, was taking the mind away from or creating a narrative in the mind. It was taking me away from actually allowing myself just to fully go for it with the experience. So I kind of did that with your breath work up at Sky, and I'm glad I did, because it gave me a one of the strongest experiences I've had with breath work. So for me to then go into, just being totally in my body like present, like you would not believe. It was like you know how when you look into a dog's eyes, that's looking up at you, and it's got that look of love in the eyes. That's when you can see pure presence in an animal. I felt that in my being when I coming out of there. I was just like, my God, I'm so present. Like, it was like my mind didn't exist. It was just there, present, and obviously me then going in and doing my full day of different practices where we've really worked over the years through test and learn and getting feedback from people in the back of the retreats. What are the things that really work best when we layer them together? And we've mixed and matched different things, tried different formats, but when we put the retreat together in a particular way, it just lands with people, and it's just like everything kind of just seems to happen in a way that makes it feel like people can actually let go of the thinking mind, and they can come into their bodies more, and they can trust being there and allow themselves to feel. And if something tricky comes up, they feel safe to be able to turn towards it, to work with it, to not be overwhelmed by it or try to distract themselves from it. So, and that's growth. That's where the growth comes. We need to learn how to do that for growth. But as you said about, trying to teach these things in school, it's that I tried very hard to get into schools, and we did work in schools, but it was just such a bureaucratic, challenging environment to really make a meaningful difference. And because it was so time consuming, but for little reward in return, I had to back away from that. So I think if we need parents or people who want to become parents to learn these skills, because they are the ones that are going to be bringing the next generations into this world. And we need them to have the tools to be able to have stronger, healthier future generations. So
absolutely. And, it seems to be now with the understanding of, poisoning ourselves with overloaded shots of adrenaline and cortisol, and not even being able to use the body to utilize that chemistry, where we're creating havoc with the mind. And I always think about, it's a bit like family constellations. I'm never really sure that the title really explains the power of what is actually going on. Mindfulness as well. It's a bit like Reiki. Well, what actually is it? What's happening? So the best thing that you can do is, and this is, Jen and I were talking about this yesterday, like with our new community, which is going to be incredible. I'm so excited about it because I can see it all happening now with all that information safely in there, evergreen for people to access. But really allowing people to get into a neutral state or place so that they can tune in to the information that is valid for them. Or if they're looking for a way to eat, or if they're looking for a way to exercise. There's so many different ways now, right? We've got so much choice that actually can stall you into inaction. So really, for me, I think it's helping people to be in that place, that Zen place that I've felt after I've been with you for even just a matter of hours, to then it's that much clearer. Okay. Because I think the sheer amount of choices and the sheer amount of conflicting information you can get can actually be harder than not knowing anything. I think sometimes ignorance can be bliss. So with the community, that's what we really, and with the Heal Scotland movement, if you're making a choice around what treatment you want, you're making a choice around what healer you should work with today or tomorrow, which may be different from the one you would want to work with in 6 months' time. It's really helping people to feel inside so that they're not looking for us to make decisions for them. They're really flipping that back round to go, right, okay, this body knows what it needs. All I need to do is be quiet and listen in and utilize these techniques.
Absolutely.
In order to, so let's talk about the festival, because this is going to be your first Scotland's Wild Medicine Festival in Aberfeldy, which is aspiring to be the healthiest town in Scotland. So there's also a big gateway festival there where people are opening up their gardens only if they grow food.
Mm-hmm.
So, because obviously one of the big messages is the soil and the homegrown food, so that we're not in the clutches of the greedy corporations, that we can actually create and generate our own food. So we're excited to be in Aberfeldy, and you're going to be there. Tell us what you're going to be doing.
So I'm going to do a polyvagal practice, which is based on polyvagal theory, and really what this is a sort of neurophysiological framework that helps us to, I guess, be able to work through the body in the different areas that can really hold on to the stress, the trauma that we experience. Some of the survival stress that we encounter it stays in the body. It can get into the tissues of the body and creates muscle tension, and sometimes we don't even know how much we've been holding until we actually get into these areas and start to really go a bit deeper into them and to breathe into them, and to encourage the body. The body's very, very intelligent, and it knows, based on how we're directing our attention and how we're breathing with intention, how we can then give the signal that we're safe. We come back into that place of safety. We come back into that regulated state. We can start to release the tension and some of the stored survival stress that's been building up in the body through all these different sort of micro events, or sometimes major events we've had that have really triggered us in one way or the other, something that's caused us emotional distress or whatever. So this practice is going to be helping people to, I guess, return back to this ventral vagal state, which is the top of the autonomic ladder, as part of this polyvagal theory, which describes that we can go into these different nervous system states. So what we're going to do in the practice is we're going to take people through a really full, basically we're going to go through full attention on lots of different parts of the body, which will involve the places of the body where we hold our fight, flight, freeze energy. So we'll go into the parts of the body that are responsible for fight, and we'll unwind and we'll release all the tension there. We'll do the same in the flight part of the body. We'll do it in the freeze part of the body. So we'll go through all these parts, but also we'll help people to understand how the vagus nerve, which is the wandering nerve that goes through from the brain stem and goes through all and connects to all the different organs of the body, from even places at the back of the neck down into the heart, the lungs, the digestive system, down into the organs like the liver, the spleen, the gallbladder. It connects into all of these places. So if we have a dysregulated nervous system, it causes havoc in the body because it impacts the vagus nerve. And when that goes out of whack, it can create a cascade of issues for people in terms of their physical health. So this is where these practices are so valuable, so deeply impactful for people. If we can learn how to start to do this as part of our, everyday ongoing maintenance, we can completely be bringing our body back into and our nervous system back into that safe zone where we feel peaceful, we can feel content, we can be more open to connection with others. We're more we're more geared towards positive emotional states, and we feel like we're able to, even though we maybe have events that are stressful, we've got the tools to be able to just to come back into that rested, peaceful state when we feel that we're starting to, when things are starting to ramp up. But a lot of people who have encountered trauma in their lives, in particular, we can be triggered by relationships, different events that happen in our lives that can really start to move us into the sympathetic state. And then and then if we don't know how to regulate ourselves that well when we go into that, we can then move into the dorsal vagal state, which is that state where we can be immobilized, shut down, feeling resigned to our life being hopeless and unhappy and all these things. So a lot of people that are living their lives in that state where they've got low energy, low motivation, brain fog, muscle tension, muscle pain, all these things, it's all connected through the nervous system. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take people through a practice that really gets into these areas of the body to completely unwind. And people that come along they're going to feel a state of rest and relaxation at the end of that maybe they haven't experienced for a long, long time. And we invite everybody to be very open-minded about these practices, because you might think, what's this doing? But trust me, if you go with it, you'll get the benefits at the end of it.
Well, there's a couple of things there, I think, that I wanted to touch on. One, we're always looking for big, loud signs. Oh, yeah, that happened, this happened, we like. But very often, a lot of this work is so gentle and so mindful that it's not until you've finished it, you're like, oh, I feel nicer, I feel lighter. So I think that's really important to know. And it's the same with the Sedona method. Sometimes you'll get a very distinctive release, but probably most of the time you don't. It's only at the end of the practices you start to feel, oh, I feel a bit, less stressed, I feel a bit lighter. So there's a patience element, isn't there, involved in the way we approach these practices. And I think, that one of your gifts is the way you teach and explain it so that people can really understand. I'm very visual, so I like to kind of see, and I'm like, right, okay, that's what's happening. And we know the digestive system, given the enormous amount of dis-ease attached to the nervous system, these exercises can sometimes even be enough to completely heal that. Maybe you need to look at your diet as well. But again, from the Heal Scotland perspective, making up this community, I'm looking at how it affects the mind, the body, and the biofield. We need to be looking at it on these three different levels. And so if you have some digestive imbalances, what you can do on a physical level, what you can do on an emotional, mental level, and what you can do on the energetic level. Because I think that's what's missing a bit in our current way, is that really seeing the body as this magnificent energy system that it is. Oh, yeah. But the other thing that you said there that I think is really worth kind of reiterating is that, life can be challenging, and you get into a nice zen state, you come away from Sky and you're just like, oh, that was wonderful. And then boom, another life shock, as Sophie Sabaj used to call it. Something else happens. It might not even be to you. It might be to somebody you love. Maybe, there's trauma from the past getting triggered. So, it's like brushing your teeth. These practices, we need to get them out and we need to be using them every day. Coming on a course, coming to retreat, coming to a festival, fantastic. We guarantee you're going to leave feeling better. But then you're back into your life. And that's really what we're looking at some kind of buddying mentorship where people really have somebody, designated to. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm thinking similar to what they have in the AA, where you have a sponsor there, just having somebody that you can call. Obviously, in our community space, there's going to be lots of teachers and healers in there. So there'll be the forums that people can probably get an answer to some of their things in real time. So maybe there'll be a way in the community for us to kind of buddy people up. I don't know. Again, if you're listening to this, please send us your ideas. It's an enormous project we're taking on. It's not by any shape or a stretch of the imagination impossible. It's totally possible. But the interaction of people with the system and letting us know what they want, letting us know what they know works, telling us, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to copy what other brilliant people are doing, or create something that other people can copy that we're doing. It's the share economy where we share all this information because we know how badly we need it. And I think, you know, I don't know if you kind of saw the latest stats on the percentage of our population who currently is unable to work. It's like a third, pretty much.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's and you know, the government like to say it's because people are lazy and they like to talk about benefit scroungers. It's got nothing to do with that. We've been systematically poisoned over the years, and stressed and fear-based, and these are the ways out. You know, I truly believe, and I know what you do is a big part of the solution. So making people, the blame, shame, complain, blame the people, it's your fault, you know, you're too lazy, you're too fat, whatever it is, it's just rubbish. It's so infuriating. And I think, you know, we've known this for a long time. The solutions are not going to come from the government, and they're not going to come from the pharmaceutical companies. This is got to be a movement and an awakening and a remembering within each one of us to take action, you know. And
sure.
I was talking, I put a post up earlier, you know, if people can't afford to come to pay the money for the festivals, we do a discount. All we want is people with a desire to learn and a desire to change and to get our health trajectory from one of the worst to one of the best. So
it's a good it's a good mission to have, for sure, and we're aligned with that. We've always felt from the beginning what we were really trying to do. We were trying to get rid of the stigmas around some of the naming of things like mindfulness, and people seeing it as that was primarily our focus, was mindfulness. That was our way into this world. But we have evolved things somewhat since then, and we're more than just mindfulness. You know, we're providing therapeutic services. We're providing the retreat experiences that are holistic. They're not just mindfulness. Mindfulness is the foundation, but there's a number of other elements to it, as you know. So we bring in the sound, we bring in the breath work, we bring in the movement, we bring in the different forms of meditation, the visualization, all the stuff. We bring it all in to the retreat experience, so that people can really understand, how does it feel to give yourself a day or even 2 or 3 days where you focus on that. You know, how healthy and well can you become on the back of that experience? And then giving you the time and the space. It's about getting the space in our minds away from the demands and the urgencies and the stresses to actually tune in. How am I? And what am I picking up from here? And it's about consistency. If we think about the amount of people out there just now, and I've had my own experience with it, the chronic fatigues, and ME and fibromyalgia, and all the people encountering chronic pain, chronic disease. When you find the methods, in addition to the dietary tweaks and getting good things into the terrain, into the body, and cleaning up the mess, when you get into finding what are the things that I specifically need, the systems and the practices that I need, and the exercises, when you start to do them consistently, that's the thing that heals the body from the physical pain, from the physical discomfort and all the rest of it. And that's something that because I maybe thought, oh, this is quite good, I'm going to do this practice, and I'll do it as many times as I can and see how I get on with it. And then I got to the point of saying, if you want to heal, you have to make this part of your day-to-day priority, and everything else from there is secondary to that. Your health, if you can build that in and say, okay, I'm going to do this consistently, and I'm going to do it consistently for at least 3 months. Because a lot of people think, oh, maybe if I just do this for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or I'll do it for a month, I'll get the benefits. No, we don't. We need to show the body that we really mean what we're doing. And that means we should be looking at least 3 months of consistent practice with a particular modality or a blend of modalities to start to feel that we're moving in the right direction. And that 3 months can then become 6 months, can then become 9, and then it becomes part of who you are. And it will sustain you. So that's what I would encourage for people that are on that journey and they're maybe struggling a bit. I feel for you. I do, because I've been there. It's hell. It's not pleasant. But if you believe that you're going to do it, you're going to heal the body, that's a brilliant start. And then when you get the consistency, you're going to see the changes coming. You will heal.
Yeah, and we know from lots and lots of data and studies, there's something magical about the 2-year mark. And I think if you're starting to think about healing, the idea of doing something for 2 years can be overwhelming. So I think it's really helpful to break it down into 3-month chunks.
Yeah.
My daughter's not been well for 18 months now. She's slowly coming out, definitely the other side. She met a physio who said, look, you're going to get better. It took me 2 years. She was in her bed. And, just that simple thing, because this is it's like a marathon, isn't it? You think you're training, and you feel like you're not getting anywhere. And, we're fed so much fear, and, there really is not the right support. You can go back to the doctor back and forward, but they don't have the time. The system's not set up to support us with new lifestyles and changes and all the things that are going to make us feel better. And in fact, sometimes it can make us worse. So that's why we need to be looking to this community, which is a phenomenal platform. I see that the diary of Steve Bartlett from the Diary of the CEO, he's using it too. So we can have tens of thousands of people on it, and we can really use that collective energy to solve the issues that we have within our communities. And it'll be online, there'll be free resources, there'll be one-to-ones, people that you can contact that you're drawn to for a one-to-one, and then there'll be all the retreats. Let's just talk about next year, because we're looking to have some time in Skye. I need to really have a bit of a headspace to work out. We're also going to Cretan, to Hobbs Place down in the Borders, which is also beautiful. So whether you're in Skye with us or whether you'll be in Cretan, there'll definitely be a mindful enterprise retreat with us at some point next year. But just bear with me till I get the programme sorted. The festivals have been a bit crazy, and then I'm doing the breathwork training, and I've been at a few festivals myself looking for inspiration and networking and seeing what everybody's doing. And, it's fantastic to meet other people that are every bit as passionate about it as we are, because there's still a lot of people don't believe. And, I think I spoke to Patrick Vickers, who is basically feeling he's been cancelled and shut down for the Gerson therapy, and feeling quite demoralised and demotivated. And it's such a shame. I'm like, it'll come back. But, that's why it's so powerful for us to collaborate and work together. All we want is for people to feel better and to be able to manage their lives in a much nicer way and to feel a lot more peace. I don't really know why people would want to attack you for that, but it can happen.
Of course.
So that's where we have to pull together and support each other. Because regardless of how many protocols you know or how much knowledge or information, we all need love and support around us. And that's really what we're going to bring in. And with the community experience, that's what I'm looking to generate a monthly income to either rent a place or rent a bit of land or whatever, so that we can all utilise for to really get this rocking and rolling. A place that Jennifer was saying, it was so nice to be kind of held in Skye, supported. It's so much nicer if we do it together.
I know. I think that's essential. I think we're going to need spaces that are. We're going to need multiple spaces, not just one. We obviously need to get one done first, but we need spaces in all the different demographics of Scotland, and we need them in nature. We need them in areas where the energy is good, where we can clear the energy and make it good, and have it customized so that it can be offered to people where they can get services that can be like an end-to-end service almost, and they can get the training they need and the support and all the rest of it. And if I can raise any money something I'm thinking about to contribute to the whole, the whole mission and the ethos and what we're doing, then that's something that's on my mind. But I think the one thing for sure is that as the old system gradually dies away, because we're starting to show people a new way, it's probably going to go kicking and screaming. I would have thought there's probably going to be more people getting attacked and criticised and mocked for certain things, but that's just going to be part of it, because the old ways don't like to be shown up for their inadequacies. So we're going to have to just stick to the task. And also the government, while we can go in there heavy on the government and blame and criticise them and things like that, it's not all, they don't do all bad things. There is some good things that they do. There are some good funding pots they make available for people doing good stuff in community, etc. So it's not all bad. However, unfortunately, the government as a construct and at the highest levels is more harm than good, and they are harming the people because of the people who are in control of them above. And there's too many special interests there involved in that particular construct for it to be valuable for the people on the ground level in community. So this is something else that we need to I guess resist and have a little bit of fight back on as we evolve in this journey too. We're going to have to stand up for ourselves more when more of this stuff starts to get a little bit more confronting.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of reminded me there of when you do a candida cleanse and you get the dye off, and it's like they don't go quietly. They're just like,
yeah, absolutely. You better believe it. It's
the same thing, as above, so below.
You
can see it outside what's happening inside.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it's lovely to chat to you.
You too.
And I'm actually, I don't know if you're busy on Monday afternoon. I'm taking a run up to the curative forest at Lindore. If you were around,
I've heard about that in Fife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and maybe you could meet me somewhere if you on Monday after, probably somewhere around between 12 and 1. I'll be heading there. So anyway,
let's exchange a text on that.
Yes, I would love you to see it. It's just an incredible space.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
And it's not too far away from you. I think it could be helpful. Yeah. Okay, guys, anybody's got any questions around the festivals? Gary's retreat will, as soon as it goes in, it will be in our free to subscribe events calendar. And hope to see you in Aberfeldy or somewhere really soon.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks.
Yeah, get yourself
any questions, just pop them in and Gary or I'll get back to you.
Great.
Have a great weekend.
Take care. Bye-bye.